Gentlemen, what's an absolute no-no for a girl to do on a first date? I told this in another thread, but being too clingy, here's a story. Met her online and we chatted for a while. She told me about how her ex-husband fucked her best friend and they ran away together. It actually explained a lot. One night we agreed to meet up after I got off work. The entire day she called me baby, said she loved me, and texted non-stop. If I didn't answer her texts right away, she would blow up my phone with calls. She knew where I was. Then during the last 2 hours of my shift, she would count down. Only 2 hours. An hour 45. Hour 30 and so on till the last 20 minutes, then it was every minute. Finally, when my shift was over she texted me 3 or 4 times if I was on my way. I finally had enough and told her no, I wasn't and it wasn't going to happen. Then she starts with the pictures of her crying. I had to fucking ghost her for 2 days before she stopped. Poor girl didn't even make it to starting the first date. Jesus Christ. She needs a therapist and not a date. Ignore the guy and constantly text on the phone. Guy or girl, I cannot see how anyone thinks this is acceptable. I see it all the time with people on dates or with friends, and it is so sad. I was on a first date with a girl and everything was going great. We had a nice dinner and the conversation was great. After dinner, she asked if we could head to the bar where I had met her the week before. I said sure, no problem. We get to the bar, order a couple of drinks, and we are having a pretty good time. She points out that the guy she dated for a few months, let's call him Chad, was there. That's kind of awkward to bring up. But whatever. I kind of know Chad since he's a regular at the bar and we have some mutual friends. I didn't know he and my date used to go out. Chad sees that I'm with her and soon leaves the bar. A few minutes later, my date starts checking her phone and texting someone. I go order another round of drinks. When I get back, my date asks if it would be okay if she went back to Chad's house. I told her she could do whatever she wanted to. I then said goodnight and went home alone. She texted me an hour later apologizing and said that Chad wouldn't let her in. She then asked if she could come to my house. I politely declined and went to sleep. So, I would say trying to hook up with your ex is a huge no-no for a girl to do on the first date. Chad pushed you out the way from that train. Ask the guy how much they make in detail. My buddy went on a date with a girl who questioned him in detail about his health insurance benefits. Personal experience, don't ignore texts inquiring about meeting up again. Then out of the blue, send a message asking if they're free several weeks later. That just says you're not interested unless it's convenient for you. Joan. That's right. I remember your name. Talk about your ex. Totally agree. Talking about the exes makes me nervous. Don't audibly gasp when you notice the waiter is missing an arm. Then later tell me you have an incurable form of ringworm. Did you date a cat? I've just had surgery on my throat today. You caused me a lot of pain, haha. Being late, maybe 10 minutes is okay. But 30, 40 minutes late to our first date? No thanks. Checking your phone. The only real exception is to quickly Google something that came up in our conversation. Not asking questions. TBH. If I'm having a conversation so intense that we start looking to side sources, then I'm going to marry her. Well, probably not marry for tax reasons, but we can still have a wedding. Playing stupid to an excessive level. Being cute or asking more about what I'm into is lovely. But a girl I took to homecoming one year asked me to explain literally every part of football, including the ball. I sat there for a good 10 minutes breaking it down further and further and she just kept shrugging with the same blank look of her. I don't get it. Turns out she was nervous, hadn't been on a lot of dates before, and took a friend's advice way I too literally. Just relax. Been there. Had a girl on a date that pretended, or just is that dense. Still not sure, she didn't know who Hitler was, or have any idea that WW2 had even occurred. The girl working the hostess table a few booths away kept facepalming and giving me looks of pity / quiet laughing as the history lesson got sadder and sadder. Enter mannequin mode and expect the guy to bring you to life. Don't meet me at your favorite local pub and then spend the entire date talking to your friends and the regulars and ignore me entirely. I didn't come there to talk to Pete with the wife beater at the corner of the bar. Don't F someone else while I'm in the next room at the party you dragged me to. Okay, it's the first date and we're far from exclusive at this point. But WTF. Come to think of it, don't take me to a party on the first date. Don't intentionally dress like a slob to make sure I like you for you. I'm not superficial and I want to know who you really are. But if you look like a wreck, that doesn't say a lot about you, and I don't like F-ine games. Don't tell me your grandfather is coming over, so I should go, when it's really one of your FWBs. All of these happened. Talk in a baby voice. It's worrying me how many women I meet that talk like a 5-year-old. First date was a costume party. This was around Halloween. I felt kind of weird going on a first date with someone attending a group gathering, but it was a date, and I had been a recluse around that time. I go pick her up, and she's dressed up as Meg from Family Guy. Not a deal breaker. I thought that the idea / joke was clever, but the costume itself wasn't that great, because many people remarked that's how she always looked. I didn't think she looked bad, but whatever. The restaurant was Joe's Crab Shack, and she ordered a giant bucket of crab legs for herself. She ordered it, and turned to me, and was like, "What are you going to have?" Halfway through the meal, she asks if I wanted to go by her place afterwards to hang out. So far, I'm not completely turned off. So I said I could hang out for a minute. She gets this really big creepy grin on her face and whispers in my ear, "I'm gonna rape you." And there it was. I was suddenly stuck with the question of how I was going to get out of this. I paid for both our meals and told her that my stomach wasn't doing well and I'd rather go home. She then begs me to come home with her, and she didn't mean to do anything wrong. I really tried to convince her that my stomach wasn't doing well. Saw her back at work the next day. TL. Doctor went on a date with a woman dressed as Meg Griffin. Told me she'd rape me after eating a bucket of crab legs. Always expecting the guy to initiate a conversation. True story time. Girl asked me out, which was nice for a change. We were both in our late teens, and she said, "Let's just have fun." Sure. Okay, nothing serious. I meet her at a bowling alley. Her friend, and her 3 juvenile cousins. UMMOK. Proceed to bowl. Definitely weird that she has 4 people for support. Then as per her suggestion, we all go to a billiards hall afterwards. I get a table. After about 10 minutes she nopes out with her friend, and I'm left with her 3 juvenile male cousins, and the tab for the table. I literally was asked out to pay for the privilege of babysitting 3 kids I didn't know. She calls a few more times and I never return her calls. Years later, I see her on Facebook, and it turns out she's a lesbian and everything made perfect sense now. So ladies, if you're in the closet, don't waste time asking out straight guys. If you really just want someone to babysit your cousins as a sham alibi to keep your sexual identity from your parents. Show you pics of her ex and other guys she's dated in the past. Order the $100 glass of wine. Here's a quick and painless way to handle the bill. Be willing and able to split the bill. Ask if he wants to split it at the end. If he insists on paying, just let him. No sense dragging it out. I only say this because some guys still carry around that heavy stigma that they are meant to provide and pay for everything, and even if they don't, it's still the most awkward part of the date. Well, hopefully. Don't play hard to get when you're already hard to want.